Got a few people coming into the noob school room here on Whalepool Teamspeak, and we are live streaming with YouTube. We'll try to keep an eye on the YouTube chat in case you are joining us live. However, I'm mostly concentrating in the Teamspeak chat and the people joining me on the mic in Teamspeak, and they always get priority. So if you guys want to ask them questions, you're watching this YouTube live stream after the fact, just join us on Whalepool's Teamspeak. You can get the links down below, whalepool.io, and come join us. So guys, test out your mics, make sure you're good to go. Make sure you got you don't have open mics.
I forgot my pencil.
Get out.
Hello.
So how about this
again in the box, please?
How about this price action, fellas?
It's exciting.
What the hell did I wake up to?
I had a question. I'm not sure if you can answer. I was wondering, I wanted to figure out how to set stops, or Bittrex calls it conditional orders. But I don't use Bittrex. I was using Coinigy. I don't know if any of you use it and if you're familiar with how to set a stop on Coinigy.
I apologize. Always starting out the live stream gets difficult. I've got to paste a bunch of stuff everywhere. What about Coinigy? I don't have personal experience on Coinigy, but
I just wanted to set conditional orders on Coinigy, but I couldn't figure it out. I just got the account this month.
yeah, sorry, I couldn't tell you. Maybe somebody here in the chat box might be able to help you out. I just wanted to focus on like the chart stuff and the current price action of where we're at and where we're headed.
So where are we heading?
Well, personally, I think we could see a larger move down than what we have seen. We did see a move back here on the 4 hour. This was about, 3 days ago when we dropped down here for 2 candles, so 8 hours. And I'm thinking we're going to have the same, if not a larger move right now. And a lot of times what people aim for is like, well, how do I know when do I close out my short, or like when do I actually take a long? How many of you guys are already in a short position at this point? One for yes.
Not to me.
Nope. It's so quiet in here. There's like always 40, 50 people when we come down to the noob school, and then everyone's like really quiet, doesn't type anything in the chat, doesn't say much on the mic.
The guy mic test.
Are you feeling lonely?
They're good. Yeah, because I hate live streaming, or I hate getting on videos where it's just me talking. I like to talk with somebody.
I had a question for shorts. I've been interested in doing shorts. All I know so far is that Bitfinex requires 10K. Could you recommend an exchange that I could go and practice my shorting that wouldn't require so much money?
Where are you located?
Technically
geographically.
Technically in the U.S., yeah.
U.S. Okay. You can use Kraken, then they'll let you short.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, I believe they
and just
up to 5x margin, right?
Just to clarify, guys, we're going to talk about price action in the charts. If you got questions about exchanges or how to place trades, things like that, we could talk about it at a different time. I'm live streaming this on the YouTube channel, so I just want to stick to the price action and looking at charts and indicators and things like that, answer those kinds of questions. So if you have those kinds of questions, let's get them answered.
Hey Bonavest, the charts that you use, I hear you talking about super trend all the time. Is that super trend a chart that you use, and you use your indicators with super trend to make decisions and things like that? I'm always very interested in some of those charts that you use.
Yep, so let's take a look at it. Right now, there's 2 super trends that are actually important on 2 different time frames. So what we're looking at here is a 4 hour and a 15-minute. On the 4 hour here, well, let's save that for last. Let's start with the 15-minute. So on the 15-minute, if you were watching the 15-minute, you'd notice that a lot of the price action was starting to get a little stagnant. It was staying within, about $100 range here, and the candles are very small. That's kind of an indication that volume is kind of getting low and nothing's really moving around, right? And usually you see either a breakup or a breakdown. And what you want to use the super trend for, and I'll hide some of these indicators here.
I pasted mine, but it's not great. It's just one that I was.
So the green line here is your super trend, and you'll notice as this bar here pierced and closed below the super trend line, which was right here, it flips the super trend to red, saying that you're kind of going to a downtrend. Now what can happen, and we can look over here and see what happened the last time, is it broke through the green, flipped to red, and it went down a little bit and turned around, bounced back up. And we're starting to see some of that right here, right? Now, one of the things that makes this different for me as far as looking at this super trend and saying, well, it might do the same thing, and very well it could, but one of the things that sticks to me in my mind that it may not do the same pattern is that Ichimoku cloud. And that's because in this instance, we have several candles, 2 candles so far, that have closed completely underneath the cloud. Whereas over here, we kind of had this one right here close below the cloud, but then the following one jumped right back up, back into the cloud. Now, this is relatively good because not a whole lot of price action was outside the cloud. In this case, we've got 2 full candles, almost the entire wick and everything is underneath the cloud. I think it's going to be a lot harder for this to bounce back up into the cloud at this point. So I'm holding my short for a little bit longer term. Now, the super trend on the other side goes the opposite way. So the 15-minute, you were looking at it to say, okay, I'm going to go short because it broke. Over here, you want to target that super trend that's down at 10,569 and use that as a target. So if you feel that there was a signal for a short on the 4-hour, the super trend would tell you, just like it comes here, the price is going to come down to here, and it's going to do one of 2 things, right? It's going to either break through or bounce. So if you target this as your take profit level somewhere around here, you're going the right direction, right? You're aiming for something that's a good possibility. You guys using the super trend at all?
Yeah, I know I am. I think you know that already. I also I pasted a link to one example chart in chat.
Why
Nice.
are all your candles blue?
So
Yeah, that question too.
so in this case, when I started to use this color of candle, it was mainly because I don't want to get too influenced by red and green, like up and down. I'm more interested in where the price is headed and like the wicks. To me, it takes away some of the bias of, oh, it's going up, oh, it's going down. It's like it's just purely the bodies of the candles. So they're not all blue, you know. It's kind of one of them's kind of whitish color, and the other one's kind of darkish blue. But it kind of gives you a little bit less biased when you see like a bunch of green candles and go, oh, it's going up.
Your Ichimoku it looks non-standard. I guess it's like just a fill color pattern or something you customize.
No, Ichimoku's standard settings.
Really like blue.
Yeah, I just colored them different.
Okay.
Easier on the eyes, stylish. Want to be hip and cool.
Yeah, man.
One of the telltale signs that I saw coming up, and luckily I just happened to wake up just in time to catch some of it, and why I kind of want to stay in the short position regardless of what the 15-minute is doing right now. I'm not too worried seeing this buy signal kind of similar to over here. I'm not too worried about it. And it's mainly because when you get a stronger sell signal, which I've got here, and this is based on TDI. I call it the dynamite index, but this is just TDI, and I jazzed it up. I colored it differently, Sandwich. And right here, there was a peak and a sell signal, and you'll see that the TDI was up here at 76.1, right? 76.1. And then the price went higher, and I get another strong sell signals here. And if I look at some of the peaks here, the numbers are 71 and 70, which is lower than 76. So that's my bearish divergence, and the fact that these little channels, the yellow lines here, started to pinch down, and I colored the background gray when I see the pinching. So this pinches together, it's starting to get focused, and at that point is a great time to go the other direction, because you've got the orange midline coming up towards into the sell zone, and right now it's actually starting to come a little bit down, and you want to catch it on the down. You really don't want to kind of catch it when it's going up into it. You don't really know how long it's going to last. So it's always good to start putting in your positions as it's coming out of the channel. So that's where we're at right now, and that's a big indicator for me that this is going to be a much larger move. And you can tell the difference because over here, when we were up high on the TDI and we took a step back, there's no pinching of the channels. It's still nice and wide, which means there's plenty of room for it to move. And it did. The green line came down and bounced off of it. But now the channels are much tighter. And that tells me it's ready to come down much lower. Maybe even if we got a lot of daily momentum to push up, the green line might bounce on this 50 line. If we're really, like if the daily was looking horrible, I would expect this to come all the way down to the bottom.
I guess we'll still have to see how the daily closes.
Well, and let's look at the daily. I think the daily looks freaking great. And by the way, that buy signal that was here in that up candle, gone. Yeah, it's just not enough. Once you're below this cloud, I think it's really unusual to see the price jump right back into the cloud after you've closed some candles under it. We'll look at the daily here. Now, this is something I had been looking at for the last couple of weeks, and that is the same kind of action, but on the other end. You see on the TDI here, we've got it way at the bottom. It's pinched down. It's colored grayish color. It's pinched really tight, and we started to see that the green line started to come up across the orange midline. So that's a great indicator to say, hey, we're moving up. If you would have gone long on that candle as it broke, actually it would be the next candle, this one right here, you'd have to absorb some of this. So I always, in my trading, I like to say, okay, at the end of this day, I'd be like, oh, cool, I'm going to go long. And then I'd lower down to like a 1 hour time frame and try to figure out where's a very low point and just buy it. Just buy the low point, and at least you got that price much lower. Look for like the Texas two-step to bottom out on the hourly. In fact, we can look at that real quick. We'll just click here. Where was that spot? Right here. And if I'm aiming for this white candle right here, what I really want to do, since that's the beginning of the candle on the smaller time frame, I want to go to the next candle and I'll look on the right chart, and where the line's at on the 1 hour chart, that's actually the beginning of that next blue candle. And up here is where I'd say, okay, I think we're going long on the daily. I want to pick a real bottom, and I'll wait till I see something in my chart, whether you use RSI or any indicator. You want to catch it when it's bottomed out, when something is at the bottom. And at that point, you want to say, okay, go long. And that would have been a perfect entry for that huge run up we did from like 8,800 or whatever, 8,500. You guys go ahead and talk a little bit. I'm going to scroll back here and look at some of these questions in the text box.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help some of them. One guy's just asking about different indicators. It's kind of new.
Yeah, if you're interested in the TDI, feel free to YouTube it, TDI, and then Traders Dynamic Index. And the creator of the indicator has actually got several videos on YouTube where he describes all the different ways to use it and trade it, and talks about what the lines mean and so forth. Really good information.
Hey, Bonifest, is Texas two-step something of yours or something just out there?
Yeah, Texas two-step is one of the scripts that I built off of just RSI2. It's nothing fancy. It's literally an RSI with a period of 2. All I did was kind of jazz it up and have it colored so it's red and green when it goes above 10 and 90. And then on the description page for the script, it kind of shows you the 2 different ways you can use it. Let me pull it up here. This is why I wanted a foot pedal for my push to talk, because if I use control and I like try to zoom and stuff on the charts, it like zooms my browser and stuff. It's like, ugh, sucks.
Dude, just get a mouse.
Just get a mouse.
Yeah, and put your fucking foot on it. You have an extra USB port, right?
Yeah, I think I've got one.
Just bind all the buttons to work for push to talk. Oh no, you can only buy one, can't you? Or do one.
You can get a third-party program that takes that specific mouse on that port and essentially converts all of the keys on that mouse to one button, and then just use that one button for your push-to-talk.
Correct. That's right. It's like a function key, right? Is that what you're thinking? Like you create a function key from a bunch of other keys?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, this is the Texas two-step page. If you go to TradingView and you can search for my name in the search bar of Bonavest, or yeah, I think that's probably the easiest way to find it. And then just click on scripts, and this is the Texas two-step. You can download it, add it to your charts. The code is down here. See, I did it again. The code is down here. There's also a link to like a PDF white paper talking about how to use it from the creator of the RSI2. And we're moving a lot. We're starting to dump a lot more on the 15-minute here. We're getting ready to hit an important resistance line for me. I like paying attention to the 15-minute 200 SMA.
It's nice that the well calls works in this channel.
Actually, I know you guys are working on a delay probably on the video, so as you're watching me, there's probably a 10-second delay from the time I say something that you actually get to see it, or is it pretty close? I tried to use the tightest possible latency.
Let's see. Say something.
Well, you'll hear me just fine because you're in Teamspeak with me. But like right now, if I say I'm gonna get ready to move my cursor to where the price action is on the 15-minute. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's about 10 seconds.
All right.
I was using what you said after I said say something.
It's about 15
for an
actually.
audio.
Oh, okay. So you guys listening to me on Teamspeak, or are you listening to me on YouTube?
Well, I got you muted on YouTube. I'm listening on Teamspeak, but if
Same.
I'm muted on YouTube, there's about 15
I
second
unmuted
delay.
you on YouTube just to test latency.
Perfect. Yeah, so right now, this 15-minute 200 SMA, to me, is usually a real important resistance support area, the 200 SMA. And if I was a smart man, I might take some profit here. Let's see. So we're at a 15-minute candle. There's a 1 minute left. So we're at pretty much the end of this candle. And this candle is just bottomed right at the 200 SMA and not going anywhere. So two things could happen. We could see the new candle just straight go up from here and not come back. But if we see this candle at the last few seconds just kind of burst through the 200 SMA, I'd be more likely to see the next candle keep going. And there we are. It's starting to go through it right now. See? Last few seconds, it's like, okay, push it. One of the things I've noticed, and people have mentioned to me before, is about the timing of the candle. I don't know the specifics, but you can look it up. But it's all about don't enter in on the 15 minutes of an hourly candle. You know, don't do a trade at the last quarter of a candle. Blah blah blah. You know, little rules like that, and you'll realize, wow, it actually works, because here it was. Right at the 200 SMA, the last 30 seconds, it pushes through just so that it paints the candle below the resistance or the support.
Wow, Litecoin getting wrecked.
Yeah, man. Are you still in Litecoin, by the way?
No, I dumped it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad I'm flat, but I kind of wish I shorted now.
Yeah, and I know. I thought it was gonna at least stop at that level, But nope, we're done.
You trade any of the alt pairs there, Bonovich, or are you just BTC?
Nah, I've stayed away from altcoins. It was too much weirdness back in the day. I was like, these coins are all crap anyway.
Yeah, some people think they're just schemed to get more Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like you're just hoping that you get in before the pump and dump,
Yeah, you want to get in like pre-pump, right, and then unload bags on someone else before they do it to you, So.
Right.
What coins are you in?
Just Bitcoin. That's all I got.
Just Bitcoin. Wow.
That's it.
Yep, I'm mainly in Bitcoin as well.
So this is going to be really
I'm
interesting
too
right
eager
here.
for that.
This point right here at this 200 SMA is going to be kind of curious here. We got 13 minutes left on the 4-hour or the 1-hour candle.
Daily's printed doji now.
Yeah, and you notice on the daily, if you have a super trend, now that it's pulled back to the level we're at, it does not show that it broke through, so it looks kind of bad. I'm going to close out in profit real quick. Hold on just a second.
Someone shorted too late.
How much time we got left on this daily candle?
Mic check.
Works.
Thank you. So we have a bounce of the 100 SMA. Is that good point to get in?
Not if you're trying to short some more or go long.
Go long.
No, well, and it's up to you. I'm still on the thing that we're going to be falling much further. So I'm more on board of, I wanted to take my profit at that support line of the 200 SMA because I know that that's a very strong level. So I wanted to just take my profit. I was at like 3.8%. So it's like, that's really good for me on such a short trade. It's only been like an hour, less than an hour. It's like been what, 30 minutes maybe, 60 minutes. So that was a good trade for me. So I wanted to make sure I captured that profit. And once this bounce comes up, I'd probably look to possibly go short again. If I saw like a top out on a lower time frame, like a little 5 minute, if it got high and showed a sell signal, I just short it again.
And how low do you think we can go here over the next couple of days?
Somebody was calling really low. I'm not on board with that just yet. Let's look at a 4 hour real quick. 1 second. So we were talking about the 200 SMA being an important factor. So I always look to that. I always aim towards the SMA, 200 SMA. So where we're at way up here, I would definitely be aiming somewhere down here. But we also have the Texas two-step. And like we've been seeing on some of these charts that we've been looking at, you'll see where it tends to flip the trend when it goes underneath it. And sometimes it comes down and it hits it and then it bounces up from there. And this provides that support line. So yeah, this targets your high target, which is 10,569. And then like if we went really low, you've got the Ichimoku cloud and the 200 SMA both at about the same spot at like 9,900. So I think these two price ranges in this area is something to shoot for. And because of such a drastic drop on the 4 hour candle, you'll notice when we dropped over here, that was kind of a big deal. And it followed through with 2 more candles. So right now I'm going to flip back to a smaller time frame. I'm just going to be looking to see how big of a bounce we had and look for a high point to short again for the next 4 hour candle. We've only got 10 more minutes and there's going to be a new 4 hour candle. And it might go up and get a little wick. But overall, I think we're going to see one more down 4 hour candle. Yeah, see that bounce we were looking at in the 15 minutes almost gone now. It's just a big wick. I'm going to go ahead and wait though and just see what the next candle prints on this low time frame. I might switch to the 5 minute just to see kind of the price action. But you'll see that the Texas two-step is kind of bottoming out and where we're at in price, it's coming up. So, and that's pretty typical. I mean, when you look back at some of the price action, let's see. You'll notice that you might hit into the green or into the red and it'll follow with another one and another one. So we'll see where this goes. I've got my profit. I'm happy. I did what 3.8% on the trade. I don't know how much that is on my accounts. Probably more. So if I did 5% in a trade in an hour for today, I'm good.
So we got like what, 10 minutes left on the daily? Might be a fight to turn the daily green.
I bet you it's a fight to keep it down. I bet. Let's look at it real quick. I didn't see what color it was.
It's red. Oh no.
Depends where you're at.
I'm looking at the 1 hour. Hold on.
Yeah, I bet you.
On GDAX, it's a green doji right now, but that can go red really easily.
Yeah, I bet you it's a fight to make sure that it paints down is what it is. I mean, because this is classic. See this little cyan colored line right here? That's the all-time high from 20,000. And so we went through it, and that's a typical price move that you push up just enough to make people say, all right, we're going, FOMO, and you go in, and then it just pulls back down, and it resets this Texas two-step. This continues to provide resistance, and we paint this big, ugly-looking doji pin bar that's like a classic candle pattern for we're going down, right? So I don't know. I think it's a fight to keep it on the downside. And I think it's going to be very successful where we're at here on the 15-minute. I'm going to wait to see one more candle and possibly go short again.
I just pasted my chart. That's one hell of a drop. If you guys want to see like how vertical that actually is near the right side.
Sorry, and another thing, guys, if you're in the noob school, I think would be a good way so I can keep track of your questions. If you have like a straight up question, right, and poke me with it, and that keeps a separate window open with all the questions, and then I can easily go instead of having to scroll back. But right now I'm scrolling back just to see what you guys have been asking. Entry-level indicators, oscillators are usually the ones that people tend to go with. You just got to, those are things like RSI, stochastics. The only thing you got to realize with oscillators is they go up and down, they oscillate. So just because the oscillator goes up and then comes down doesn't necessarily mean that the price is going to, quote, go down. You know, it just means it might take a little bit of a dip and then keep going up. So just watch those oscillators. Some of them will just get buried at the bottom and just kind of waver between 0 and 25, 0 and 25, and just keep going down, down, down. Resistance and support lines, check this out. You can see that I don't necessarily have any, well, let's look at this. Let's do this. I didn't have any lines drawn on my charts, but here's a completely clean chart, have no lines, and it's a 1 hour chart. Let's go to 4 hour because we've kind of been going just up. So this isn't so bad. Hold on.
Teamspeak to user, do you copy? Over.
So here we are with this 1 hour chart. We're currently looking at data from January 17th. So it's definitely a month or so ago. So we're looking here, and all you want to do is on this price action that's going up and down is go to up here to your toolbar on the top left, the second one down, go to horizontal ray. And all you got to do is by standing back and just looking at this, I know this is a bottom, right? Click it one time. I know that up here is a top. Oh, no, we didn't. Yeah, here's a top right here, right? Click that. If you're ever drawing these lines and you want to make it easy on yourself, there's a way to lock it. It's called stay in drawing mode. So we click that, and every time I click, it won't take it away. I can actually just go here, and I'll just start popping in a bunch of lines. Like there, there, there. And if you notice, even here, like there's a low, and notice this one kind of hit on it, right? And then this one kind of hit on it, right? And that's what we're looking for. So now we can turn it off, and now let's fast forward and see how the price reacted to these just random lines that I threw on the chart. So this line right here seemed to serve a little bit of a resistance there, and we're kind of hovering on that one here. Down here, let's see, we actually passed right through that. That would be an indication that if we had previous resistance and support on this line, and then all of a sudden the price just totally said screw you and kept going, super bullish. Go long. And that's just how you draw support resistance. Just pick peaks and valleys in the past, and you'll notice that they'll tend to be support and resistance in the future. So same thing here. Here's a low point. Sure enough, that was another one right here. See? Resistance there, support there, support there. It's as easy as that.
And for people who are confused, he's using the in-chart Tradingview tools to be able to draw those lines.
Yeah, it's just the second icon here. I'm looking at multiple. I'm looking at. Good thing I have 3 screens, because holy crap, trying to keep a track of the price action while I'm talking.
I'm trying to answer what I can, but I'm not you.
Oh, go for it, man. Get on the mic too, because sometimes I'm sitting here clicking on stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know S_P was asking about charts in general and trying to get a good grasp on where to start. I just, recommended a few indicators that I would personally understand, like, watch YouTube videos, especially like the Ichimoku cloud is pretty important, and understand support resistance, RSI, TDI, moving averages, I don't know, MACD, what else?
Those are all good, really. I mean, really, it's going to come down to preference, and you'll have to do some YouTubing and Google research to kind of figure out what indicators work best for what you want to do. Two things to differentiate indicators is going to be indicators that are oscillators and those that are trend-based. The super trend, for instance, has trend in its name, and essentially it's identifying different trends. And let's look at what would be a good example.
Yeah, I pasted one that that has two super trend indicators, and honestly, they're more or less for convenience purposes, but RSI and TDI kind of indicate it in advance. That's my opinion.
So if we look at the super trend here, this is a 1 hour chart, and obviously looking at this, once we bounced off the 200 SMA, if you haven't added a 200 SMA to your charts, you're doing it wrong. It bounced off the 200 SMA and it went up. And it was a classic long. It just kind of kept going up. But if you look at the super trend, you'll notice it turns red. It goes down, it flips. And you might say, oh, well, you said the super trend's a trend-based indicator. Well, it is, but based on different time frames, it's going to detect that it went below a certain level and think that it's ready to go down when it actually continued to go up, right? If you look at this same date and time, which is from February 10th to now, on a 4 hour chart, you'll see that the super trend did exactly what it was supposed to do. It flipped here, and you would look for the low point. Remember I was saying, like, once you see it flip on, say, the 4 hour, you might want to go to the 1 hour and try to pick a really low spot, and then at that point go long. And it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It followed the trend, but this is on a higher time frame. As you can see, we're still kind of in an uptrend. I mean, it hasn't flipped or anything yet. Now, just like we saw, like that pinching, kind of pinching and the high points of when the lines get up to the top of the sell zone of the TDI, you can see the same kind of action and see what happened is it hit that all-time high trend up here at 20,000, and it was kind of, it had been pinched here, went even higher there, and then it came down. And I'm kind of looking maybe not for something like this, but definitely I'm looking for a good pullback down to maybe that the super trend here. That would be right here. Ugh, I hate to push the talk and the scroll button. All right, 10.569. So that's going to be my target that I'm aiming for. And right now we're probably at a good time to go short. Take a look at where we're at here.
Teamspeak to user, do you copy? Over.
How do you manage your portfolio when you can't be in front of the screens for 2 days or more? Hold on a second. Let me see about putting this trade in. Let's see where we're at. I like looking at my magic unicorn dust, and we've got this one green area. We got the second green area, and now we're looking for a third green area. This will probably be a short one here. Going to go in with a small amount here. Oh, not that I was trying to hide it, but I kind of realized it pops up my my buys and sells in the corner here. So much for hiding. I'm a big shot. I'm trading 10 BTC. No, you're not, Boniface. It says you only sold 0.1.
You definitely like cooler colors besides the red and bright green at the bottom. That's everything's like purple and pink and blue and white.
Yeah.
Man.
So yeah, this is I like the little three seems like Bitcoin goes in threes. Let's look back at some previous price action. You can see what I'm talking about here on the Magic Unicorn Dust. So here we've got 1, 2. You've got 1, 2, and then these single bar ones. I tend to kind of say, that's kind of weird. I kind of ignore it. I see another one. Maybe I'll lump those together and say 1, 2, 3. Well, we're definitely on our third little wave here, and you'll hear me on the mic sometimes say, oh, we're on wave 2 or whatever. And that's exactly what we see. We got one wave here, and we got a bounce. We got 2 waves, we got a bounce, and then here's the third wave. And then trying to pick a point to get out of the short and take some profit. And to be honest with you, if you look at the 15-minute, we're still on a wave. So honestly, I may add some more here.
Good God, look at all these longs liquidating, man.
Yeah, and for those of you that are in the whale pool Teamspeak and you see all these things scrolling up with the bots, one thing that I've learned to use that for is when people are getting liquidated like that, meaning that they're getting wiped out, tells me that the price action isn't what they expected. And when it's happening a lot, it's when they have to liquidate. So if they went, in this case, they went long. So they bought BTC and the price went against them, it fell. Well, how do you get out of a long? You have to sell what you got, right? Well, when you sell it, it's just going to add more sales to the chart, right? So all of these liquidations just mean that all of these contracts, and this is kind of slightly different because these are contracts, but I'm just saying the point is that they're kind of selling. They're going to bring that price down lower and lower. So sure enough, if we look at the 15-minute, we're only on the first wave. Things are different on different time frames. So sometimes on 15-minute, you don't get a full 3 wave. But I think this one's definitely going to be a big turn down here.
Can I add to that real quick, Boniface?
Go ahead, just talk.
So he was just talking about getting liquidated on some of these platforms that use contracts. And if you're in the U.S. exchanges I don't believe are contract based like Kraken isn't. However, you don't ever want yourself to get liquidated, and whatever exchange you use, you want to make sure that if you have a liquidation price, that you have a stop loss well above it, especially on like BitMEX if you happen to use BitMEX, because you'll pretty much lose all of it if you get liquidated. If you even sell like $15 above it, you'll still get a portion of your position back, because if you're on margin. So I'm gonna keep in mind.
Yep, cool. Archangelos, you're asking about real quick. So you identified a buy signal on the daily, then you wait on that day for a low point to set up for a long. So just to clarify what I mean by that, if you see a something on a daily candle and it closes a daily candle, and that tells you that, hey, I'm ready to go long, what I tend to do is go to a lower time frame, because generally speaking, you'll notice. Let's look at some candles here.
Daily closed green, but barely.
It still left a pin bar. Yep, look at that. It would be better for a short seeing a down pin bar, but seeing a pin bar in general is very bearish. I mean, go short, guys, and just hold on to it. Take a small position, nothing huge, but just hold on to it. Just like hold it for a little bit. Some of the guys that are used to trading on the 5, 15, maybe even the hourly, aren't used to holding trades for very long. This would, on a daily chart, when something is saying, hey, this looks like it's going down, it's very good to just hang on to it, even for one candle, one daily candle. Because if you look at this daily candle, the ATR, I talk about it in chat a lot. Up here at the top, you'll see ATR, and it has some numbers. So if I hover over this daily candle today, the first brand new candle here, hold on, I'm going to put some more on this short here.
Just don't get liquidated, yeah. Honestly, though, if you're kind of new to trading, though, I would really focus on like what Bonavest is actually showing.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. But go ahead, Samich.
I was just gonna say that instead of going, balls deep in margin trading, because margin trading is not something that's really easy to start with.
Get wrecked mostly.
Yeah, I would use something like GDAX as an exchange or something like that. Just to start off. But you can still use these indicators in the same sort of, I mean, you know, charting strategies. And you'll develop your own. You'll kind of start to understand how a lot of these indicators work and how they'll work for you and you know, maybe your time frames. Like Bonifest was just saying about the 1 hour and various, or the daily and the various time frames that you can trade on.
So real quick, let's run through a trade. We're looking at the daily. I know my signals, these little buy signals here, so it says buy here, but I'm like looking and saying, it hasn't really hit this 200 SMA just yet. You know, I expect a little bit more down. Here's the Texas two-step. I think it could come down lower. So I give it some time, gives me another buy sell. I say, hey, we hit this really super low. This is like 80 or 70% pullback from the all-time high. Good God, this has to be it, right? So I wait. I let the whole daily candle finish, and it looks like this at the end of the day, and we're up here, right? And it says buy. So if I buy exactly right here and I go full margin leverage and I only give myself like $100 room, if I bought at 76.60, it actually went down to 72. So that's a $400 drop. And if I had a really tight, you know, stop or whatever, I'd get margined out, right? So what you want to do is at the end of this candle, like I said, go to the next daily candle and you'll look on the right chart and it'll put you right at the beginning of the new candle. So this is what it looked like. This little white bar right here is what it looked like when that day was over. Zoom in a little bit because it's hard to see on YouTube. But yeah, this bar right here is the last bar. So this is what it looked like when the daily candle was over with. And if I know I want to buy, I try to be a little cautious and say, okay, let me wait till I get a buy signal on the smaller time frame. This is the 4 hour. So what I'll do is I'm going to wait, and I didn't see a buy signal here, so I just let it go. And it goes up and you get all FOMO'd in and stuff, and it's like, nope, just wait for a signal. Be patient, right? And we keep coming over. My first little indication on my charts is this little circle here. This is a buy for Ichimoku. So maybe I didn't really feel like that was the best one. Okay, let's say I skipped it. Let's say I didn't take it. That's a good buy entry, but let's just say I didn't take it. It went up even more. Oh shit, I got a FOMO in. Nope, don't do it. Look at Texas two-step. You're up high. Don't do it yet. Just wait. Wait a little bit more. Up, Texas two-step comes to the back. That could be a indication of coming down. Maybe you entered in here. Okay, I'm still waiting for an actual buy signal. This little circle here, buy signal on Ichimoku. That would have been a great one. Here's another buy signal, another good one. If I waited even longer, there's another Texas two-step, and the fact that we're higher than we are before, and I still got a low like this, definitely a good indication to go long. Here's another buy signal, Ichimoku, go long. Tons of buy signals saying go long. They're confirmed, and I don't get stopped out. I don't have to worry about, oh, is it going to go $400 against me? Give it time. Let the price run away from you. It's okay, because what'd you miss out on? 76 to... You missed out on $800. You missed on 10% price action. And you're like, holy crap, Bonavest, your advice sucks. I missed out on all that potential profit. All right, well, let's look at what the rest of the move did. If I waited for the very last buy signal, which is right here at 8,600, and I even waited for this thing to drop to the point where we're at now, we just dropped like several $100s. You still got $2,300 at a 26% profit. Good job. Magic Unicorn. Magic Unicorn does is kind of my own thing, but you can find the Williams VIX indicator on TradingView. It's pretty much the same thing. It's what I used, I mean, to base my Magic Unicorn dust on it. Just type in VIX and then look for the one with the most likes, which is Chris Moody.
Another thing is, yeah, besides Chris Moody, and he makes a lot of different indicators, is you can scale in your position. So if you're not sure if it's going to be like a good place for a long, just use like a third or less of your capital, or however much you have in your account. And then as it goes in, you can scale along it and add to it, and then keep track of it and sell it that way. I'm trying to put it in terms because I'm thinking it's better if they're kind of new to use something like GDAX instead of something with margin.
Yep, right on. All right. Anything else going on? How's the price action doing? Still dropping? Yep. I'm really excited because, to be honest with you, these moving up here, I got really caught up in the smaller time frames and really missed out on where I could have just a couple of times I should have just held the position and just forgot about it for a day or two, and I would have been way better off. But I kept trying to go in and out, trying to play the day trading thing on the 15-minute and stuff, and it's like
me.
There you go. I'm sitting here, let's funnel the sandwich into my trading style.
Yeah. It works for me, but hey, it doesn't work for everyone, you know? And that's something that everyone will have to kind of develop their own style.
Yeah, I mean, you'll notice that if you're new to trading, you will have more losses trying to trade more often. Why? And it makes sense. Why? Because you're new, and if you're new at something, you're not very good at it, right? And if you're not very good at something and you keep doing it 100 times a day, you're not doing it well 100 times a day. So it's like, if you make 3 trades a day and you're not very good, you made 3 mistakes a day. But if you're trading like 100 times in a day, you're screwing up 100 different times. You know what I mean? It's more potential for losses than it is for gains, right? I haven't looked at the YouTube. I don't even know if anyone's watching. Let's see. See if they've been chatting. Yeah, they have been chatting. Sorry, guys, I've been ignoring you guys. Let me bust you out in a pop-up window and let's take a look at some of the questions you've got. So I am concentrating on you guys in the YouTube chat box. Feel free to ask your questions. If you've been asking them, I probably didn't see them, but go ahead and ask them now, and I'll take a quick look at it real quick and get those questions in my mind and see if I can cover a couple of them for you guys. Archangelos was also asking a question about the waves of 3 in Bitcoin. We're dropping again on the 15-minute, by the way. The waves of 3. I don't know. I think it's a bot thing. It's a whale thing, what have you. I think it's mostly bots and automation, but it tends to go in pumps of 3, pumps of 2. So definitely target two different waves, and then if you're lucky and you get a third, then great. Oh shit, that's a nice drop. See, I should have put more. So here's the thing, ADX. I'm gonna be watching to close out my my position here temporarily shortly. Is the ADX. ADX is another indicator I like. Whenever I notice that the DX or the DI line crosses the DX line, the DI line is either positive or negative or positive, the blue and the yellow in this case. Whenever it crosses this DX line, the white one, I tend to see that the price goes the opposite way. So if we're in green here and that line crosses the white, it tends to go down. And if we look where we're at on this chart, that's pretty much where it crossed through. And we noticed that we got that one candle dip and then a little dip here. I think the big dip here, I think that was a bad example, but watch what we're going to do here, and I bet you we're going to see a little bit of a bounce. Doesn't always mean it's the end of the trend, and in most cases it doesn't. But I always watch that so that I don't get excited when I see the price going back up, and I say, no big deal. We're in the super red hot negative, we're going down trend, and because it crossed right there, if I see a bounce, I'm not too worried about it. I try to tell myself, don't get excited. The price isn't going to bounce up in your face. Probably not, especially not in this move. And then I look to continue the long trend, I mean the short trend. So let's take a look at another example. It's probably better. So here's a 4 hour. Here's a 4 hour real quick, and where the lines crisscrossed, we got that one sell candle that was right here. And if you say, oh, I got a sell signal, I need to go short, because I look down here and I see that that the ADX did its little cross thing, I don't even worry about it. I totally ignore it. If I was in a long position right at the top, and I saw that, I wouldn't worry about it. I would know that it was just a little hiccup, and we're still in a green trend, and we're moving up with all the other oscillators, so we're good to go. Then on the other side, when the trend starts to break down, I usually look to see that the colors get darker, and that usually means that the trend is getting weaker. And if there's a big change, like if it goes directly from green to black, something big has happened, and definitely you need to get out. And there's the little hiccup.
Looks like we're trying to go up right now.
But are we?
I tried.
ADX says there's a little crisscross it's going to touch, and so we might see a little bit of a jump up or whatever.
A slight, yeah, because it's definitely going up. It was just down to 10,900 now. It's or 10,800. It was down to 10,800 now. It's 11,000.
Now we're at a good point. We're at a good point for a bounce, because on the 1 hour, see how we just now touched into that cloud there, and the edge of the cloud, it always serves as like a support or a resistance line. So I might watch it.
Are you on logarithmic right now?
Shouldn't be.
No, I can't see because there's a whale pool button, but I didn't know if you have log highlighted on your screen, on your lower right hand corner of your window, or just auto.
All right, so I don't think there's very many people that are in the YouTube channel that aren't here with us in Teamspeak. They haven't asked very many questions here.
I have a quick question.
Yep, go for it.
With regard to the ban on Tradingview.com, which plan? There's 3 different plans on there. Which one are you using?
I'm using the Pro, and it is a grandfathered in Pro for a long time ago. So the Pro plan now, if I had to buy it, I would hate it, because I love indicators, as you can tell. I love indicators. And I think the new Pro plan only allows you to have like a couple of like 4 or 5 indicators or something like that. Yeah, that sucks for me.
It sucks for me too. That's why I have multiple charts.
If you're looking for which...
is that per chart? So I'm just saying it's max class per.
Yep.
And you're limited to 3. I can't remember, 3 to 5 different charts. I think maybe 5 total. I don't know. I'm kind of grandfathered in as well. I've got a lot more charts, but I still can't add new indicators to my existing charts that I have more already. Like I've got some that have 7. It's really weird. So I don't remove them because I won't be able to add them back.
A shout out to TechnoSearch. He just said that he still runs my old IRC channel that we used to use on my live streams. What's up, yo?
Nice.
Yeah, Singer, so are you comfortable with, I guess, making a decision on getting a particular plan now?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go with the middle and the Pro and start with the 5, and that'll probably be enough for me for now anyway.
Have you done a trial yet?
No, that's what I was selecting, and I wanted to pick the right one.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing I would say is during the trial, you can do any plan you want, right?
Do the best one.
Do the best one, because it's not gonna cost any difference. So at least that way you're not limited to like 5 indicators, and you can really play with it. You know what I mean? However, when it comes time to expire your trial, it can offer you a deal like it did me, to instead of charging me, I don't know, 19 or 29.99 a month, it only charged me $99.99 a month. It was like a one-time offer if I upgraded.
Okay, okay, I appreciate the insight.
So you might have to try to cancel it, you know, like at the last day, and they may try to, you know, pop that up to you and ask you that.
Another pro tip: if you're using the trial and you don't plan to actually pay for the heavy duty subscription, make as many charts, like make your templates. You can save different templates. Like this one here is called the Bonavest channels, but this tab here is called whale pool. So each of these would be a chart template. And if I say load chart layout, I have all these charts, right? So what you want to do is make as many of those, set them up for different, to show you different things and blah, blah, blah. Set those all up before your trial is over, because you're limited on the other plans of how many of these you can have. But if you create them and you leave them there, then once you go back to a free account, they're still there. You just won't be able to edit them. But you can still use them. You can still view them to view the different chart data and stuff for different tickers or what have you. You just can't edit, you know, what indicators are on it and things like that.
That's if you go free instead of the pro, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, good call. It's the same thing with going pro and having charts that have more than, like I was saying, more than 5 indicators on them. Just leave them there, because, you know, during your trial, get the highest plan you can, so you can add enough indicators that you're comfortable with, because once you go to pro, you won't be able to you won't be able to add anything back more than 5, and if you remove one, you won't be able to add that one back to that chart. It's kind of stupid.
Are we oversold yet?
Very good.
Yeah, so I was looking at my little cheesy chart that I just did on the fly with you guys and throwing up some lines up on the chart. And if you take a look at it, I mean, where do you think we're going just based on this right here? I mean, I'm kind of eyeing this area right here, the 10, 200, 400. I mean, if you look back in time, there's a couple of halfway points, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, 10.4 was what I was thinking, if we broke back down through 11.5 and 11.2, which we obviously did.
Now, if we look at my ADX for the trend set here on the 15-minute, you know, we're getting ready to do that little touch I was talking about, which either signals a little bit of a pullback or an end of a trend. But over here on the 1 hour, we're digging into the cloud, and we've got the ADX not even close.
Were those your moving average lines, the green lines?
Which green lines? The ones up on here?
The other chart you just had up. Not the double panes.
This one here? The dashed lines? Dashed green lines?
No, the other, it's not on this page. You had just alt-tabbed from another chart. It was taking up the whole page. It was the green lines. I thought.
Yeah, it's on. It's a delay that you're talking about, but yeah, I'm looking at it. What about it?
Oh, so yeah, it's a delay. Were those, I didn't know if you drew those to represent support resistance or if those were moving average lines.
Yeah, no, moving average lines will always be curved. These are support and resistance lines just based on previous price action.
Yeah, and you can check some like the moving average to draw a line if you want, you know, and it'll intersect kind of like where the curve ends. But that it kind of gets messy on the screen.
Yeah, I like drawing the support resistance lines based on the actual price action, not a moving average. So we're actually hitting a spot where in the past it's had some resistance and support here in this middle area, and we're just now hitting it right now. So maybe let me look at my chart real quick, and I might close out. I kind of don't want to, because we've been talking about how strong this move is. We look at a 1 hour, the ADX hasn't come close to touching anything, and it's in the red. If it was like in the green still, so we could look back. Let's see what it did the last time it dropped. The last time it dropped, it was in the red as well, but the line was under the DX, so that's kind of towards the end of the move. Anytime that the DI is kind of like this, where we see in this red area here, So hard to use the push to talk and still click on stuff. Like here's
Yeah.
an example here. When the line hasn't crossed over the under the white yet, it's still beginning the move. So no matter what you see, I try to stay in at least until it crosses. So if I was trading just off of the hourly, I probably wouldn't want to. I'm going to go to the 4 hour, see what the 4 hour looks like. So we were talking early on that the trade for the next 4 hour candle, well, we're only at 3.5 hours. We still got 3.5 hours left. We're only 30 minutes into this candle, and it's already pretty big. And, you know, everything is still here. You know, everything's still at the top. The only thing that's really kind of reset down is the Texas two-step. But on a down move, it can easily get into the green. So I'm definitely going to hang on to my short, and any pullbacks, I'll probably add another half Bitcoin. Let's see, Randall Fenderson asking, how do you decide how macro or micro to go to see the trend? That is definitely something I struggled with beginning, was where do I keep looking at the trend? On the 15-minute, the trend is up.
Depends on how you trade.
The 1 hour is the trend is down. The daily says the trend is up. And it's like, and you get conflicted about, well, what is the trend? And you got to base it relative to whatever you're really trading. You got to pick a time frame and say, hey, I trade on the hourly. And then based on that, you need to say, look at one time frame above the hourly, and whatever that trend is, trade it on the hourly. So for instance, if I'm looking at an hourly chart, and I see this, looks like we're going up and everything, right? But I go to the 4 hour, and I use something like the super trend that's just green, hasn't ever crossed. Here you'll see that it goes green, it went to red, went to green, went to red. So maybe you're a little confused right here. Is the trend still up? Well, you can refer to the higher time frames to see where you're at. The 4 hour is saying, hey, we've been in an uptrend forever. And if you look at the daily, you would say, hey, we're in a downtrend and we're at the top of this downtrend and possibly breaking through, but we fell back. So you got to use the higher time frames in relation to the time frame that you're actually trading on.
You mentioned earlier about if not using the 200, you're missing out. Can you explain what you meant by that, just a little more detail?
I was being kind of funny because every chart we were looking at the time, the 200 SMA played a role in it, and saying, dang, look at that. It's like 200 SMA is strong. I mean, it like tells you a lot. Like, I think we were looking at like the 4 hour, and the 4 hour pricing touched the edge of that 200 SMA and then bounced off of it and went up. If you look at the 1 hour here.
So it's a moving average, and it's an indicator you can add. And then you can specify an interval, right? So you can put 200.
Yes, yeah. I was wondering. Yeah, he clarified. Thanks.
Okay, I didn't know if you needed a little bit more info or not.
Yeah, and like here on the hourly where the price came down, it did go through it, but it's one of those things where you start looking and saying, well, it looks kind of exhausted. It's towards the bottom of the TD. My Magic Unicorn dust has 4 different waves of down. It's pinching together. That to me is an indication that we're about to go up. So all of those things together coincide with the 200 SMA. It's just all those things add up to saying, you know what? I could go in a long position right here and be pretty good.
Cool. Thank you.
You bet, man. That was Singer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you actually a singer?
Kind of.
You're like, I'm a karaoke whiz.
Yeah, okay.
You're like one of those guys that I hate, that you go out with your buddies and no, I'm not going to get on stage. No. And then you get up there and you freaking like rock star it. And
okay, that'd be me.
No, I don't want to go. No, I got to drink some more. Let me have another beer.
No, I'll just put it this way. I've only done 3 karaoke contests, and I won first place on each one. So.
You bastard. Hate you. I couldn't sing to save my life.
I don't even drink either, so I'm just gonna go there to win some money.
Look at that. You're like semi-professional there, man. You're like not even going to hang out. You're just there. I'm just in it for the prize money.
Well, just 2 hours, $100, you know, whatever.
He's like that third guy in line with 2 other people behind him, and he's like turning around over his shoulder going, Psst, just give up. Don't enter it. Don't even worry about it.
Hey, let me just say real quickly too. Thank you for taking some time to do this. It's cool to have, you know, guys that want to give back, you know, help others, and you know, you could just be, you know, looking out for yourself. And I appreciate you guys taking some time here.
No problem. But yeah, I'm totally looking out for myself because I can't wait for you guys to be like super Bitcoin millionaire rich and be like, you know what? I'm gonna flip a 100K Satoshi to Bonavest because back in the day he was pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, I mean, people have helped me here, so if I can help anybody, it's fine. I don't mind at all.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it.
I'm very technically challenged on this like Teamspeak. I just got it all set up, and before I just was listening on YouTube, just kind of watching and well, listening I should say, and then watching my chart and stuff. So this is pretty cool to more interact, and it's pretty cool.
The singer, do you do anything by chance with computers, software?
No, have we? I'm security, like video surveillance.
Okay.
That's my day job.
Cool, man. Yeah, that's cool. I was just wondering because there are some people on here who do software engineering and programming and stuff like that, which can kind of help in a little bit. You can write scripts to help, that kind of thing. I was just wondering. It's definitely not necessary though.
Another question from the YouTube was about setting up some alerts. Who was this? George C was saying that he uses my trendy ADX, and he was asking about how to set up alerts. So for instance, we were talking about how I like to see when the lines touch and crisscross and things like that. So what I might want to do on this hourly is set an alert to let me know when do those cross. Because if I'm saying that it usually goes the other way, if we're in a downtrend, it may go up. Or if we're in a downtrend, it might be the end of the trend when they cross. So let's see about how do you set up an alert here. I love setting up alerts built into my indicators. I hate it when people have indicators and they don't even think twice about the alerts. It's like I make sure that I program alerts, and I make sure I program the coloring so that it looks good in white and looks good with black. So try to build that into my all of my indicators. And we are seeing some more price action, I believe, going down. All right, so I just right click on the trendy ADX and say add alert. And it says the condition, you want to leave it say trendy ADX. And then anything else here, you could pretty much leave that alone, because being that I build in the alerts to my indicators, all you really have to do is select whatever's up in here. And in this case, I think I advertise it as 2 built-in indicators. There's trend direction change. Wait, there should be another one. Uh-oh. There should be trend direction change, which is whenever it goes from a green to a red. But you can also go ahead and then select here, if I want to see that this is the DI minus, and I want to see it cross the DX. So I say DI minus is crossing down. Crossing down the ADX. So what I did was I selected trendy ADX DI minus, crossing down the trendy ADX ADX line. And that's saying this yellow DI minus is going to cross down the white ADX line. And then I'll usually do it once per bar close, because if it just dips across it and then the candle moves and goes back up, I don't want to get alerted. I want to know once the bar is actually closed and it crossed.
Hey, actually, Bonavest, can you explain that again? I'm sorry. I missed part of that. I was responding on TeamSpeak.
Yeah, no problem. Just look at what we got right now. So when I right click, say add alert on there, the condition is you want to select out of the list the trendy ADX.
Is that one of your indicators?
Yeah, trendy ADX is all these. When you do the conditions, it'll actually let you select anything on the chart. But since I clicked on here, it automatically came up with trendy ADX. But I could select anything from the entire chart from this little pull down.
Nice. I didn't know that. I mean, I use alerts all the time, but I always use just a crossing basic one.
So all you do is select trendy ADX and then select what it is out of the trendy ADX. So I make it pretty clean to where I try to name all the different things within the indicator. So we got DI plus, DI minus, ADX, and score. The score is the coloring. So the bright red would be -3. The dark green is just -1. I mean a +1. So those are the score that I try to keep track of. Right now, if I hover over this bright red, you'll see this last number in gray here says -3. And then it used to be -2. And so that might be the trend change. I mean, I'm sorry, that would be a DI, a score. So if you want to say, hey, I want to know when the score changes, you select, God, this is hard to do with push to talk. Select ADX score, and then down here you'll select Man, I could have sworn I had one already set up for this, but I would select, like if you were just looking for that score to change, I would just say like greater than, less than, and put in the number of whatever it currently is. So if it's a long trend, like over here on the left side here, you'll see it's bright red for several candles. And all you got to say is that if this is a -3, then just say if the score is greater than -3. So that way when it goes to -2 or it changes to black, which is 0, it'll alert you.
Yeah, that's cool. I have not used that with indicators before. I've only used the alerts for normal price, crossing, action type of thing.
Yeah, works great. I mean, some indicators don't make it so easy. Sometimes the names of the pieces to their indicator just say like shape, plot, plot. Yeah. You don't know which one is what.
That out, I guess. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Cool. Nice. I can target the TDI. I can target when it crosses the Ichimoku.
We got 20 minutes left in this hourly candle. Price action's kind of just hovering here. We've hit that edge of that cloud, which is a good resistance. I mean, a good support. Let's see, am I in profit? Yeah. I think I'm going to take profit.
Are you shorted, right? I assume. Did you hear me? You there, bro?
Yeah, but I'm clicking trying to make money.
Okay.
Money comes first. Sorry, Sandwich.
Yeah,
I care about my money first.
Take care of your thing, dude. No worries.
The other thing was with Kraken, I had bought like 0.5 and then I bought I went short 0.5, I went short 0.5. Holy shit, did this work? Hold on a second. Some bitch. Fuck. Fucking Kraken.
What?
Alright, well I'm gonna have to hold what I got now. Totally fucked up.
Let you get out.
Yeah, I totally fucked up. Y'all probably saw it on the pop-up now, but I ended up selling more. I wanted to close out my position and ended up selling more. Sandwich, I blame you. It's all your fault.
You thought you were in a long. No, you thought you were in a long way, didn't you?
No, it's the Kraken interface. Fuck.
Oh,
now I'm stuck here. Now we're gonna have to wait and see it goes down because I don't want to miss out on all this. Ugh.
Yeah, man. I have that same issue sometimes. Like I'm like, fuck. Dude, I'm like 1,000 or 2,000 off. I'm like, no.
It was clicking
How
the
low
different
have you gotten your fees?
What's that?
Sorry. I was asking how low have you gotten your fees on Kraken?
Let's take a look.
I just started on Kraken over the weekend, so I'm still at like 12%. Or not 12%, but 0.12%.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that would be insane.
Is that doing on margin at max margin?
I've done one margin trade so far, and it was for half a Bitcoin.
Okay.
So, no. Though my margin level was like 3,000%, so that's nice.
Yeah, I'm at.
That's what your return was?
No, so the margin level where the percentage of ratio to equity.
Oh,
that
okay.
you can't let it go too low or you get liquidated.
Right, sure. Yeah, and I guess I don't know. I honestly don't use Kraken, so but I assume it's the same that if you use less of a margin, you will have you'll have a much lower liquidation. At least that's how it is, like on BitMEX and stuff. But it works different there.
Basically, for my short to have gotten liquidated, Bitcoin would have had to jump to about 50K.
Okay, cool, man. So that gives you plenty of room to play with.
Which is great because the first thing it did when I shorted was it jumped up like $200.
Yeah. And then it probably went down further and put you in profit, I assume.
And then it went down like $400.
Cool, man.
Yeah, so that really sucked. I probably missed out on maybe about $200-300 extra. But so the thing with Kraken is it saves whatever value for a number of BTC. And then the other thing it gets me sometimes when I'm clicking too fast, that you click the position that you want to get rid of, and the UI sometimes flips. I misclick or something, and it goes to the cancel, and it goes back. And what it does is the same button that used to say confirm, say that my since I went short, I was confirming a buy. That same area where that button was now says to go to sell. And so what it did was it sold another 0.5. So I was in a short position instead of for 1 BTC. I was now in a short position for 1.5, and we were going up in price. So I was like, son of a bitch. So what I did was I closed out the 1 BTC that was still in profit, and then I'm holding on to the short that I got at the bottom there. And I'm holding on to that short. And I'll just short more as we go up here.
Yeah, I'm scaling it along now. We're in the cloud, actually almost out of the cloud. If you look at a closer time range.
1 hour, we're well out of the cloud. We bounced off the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll end up coming up a little bit and probably stick back down again. I can get rid of if I go short up here and then we come down a little bit more, I can get out of my position at a break even.
Yeah, on the minute, it's showing that we're passing through the cloud now. It's the other side. Is yours inverted?
Oh, so we are.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of being below the cloud. So it's probably not a bad entry position. Anywhere around here, I'm scaling in though. TDI looks good, MACD looks good.
Yeah, this might be a good little bounce, I guess, but I think overall I'm still thinking we're going to be going down, so we'll see. We'll see if it follows this cloud up here.
Yeah.
We've got kind of a break here on the 15-minute. I always talk about like the 3 waves. It makes sense because we've made 1 wave and it's all green, and the ADX did that little cross we were talking about, and here's where we bumped up, right where that cross is at. And that's where I was telling you I don't really get too excited usually, because that just means kind of I expected that little bump. Doesn't necessarily mean the trend is over. It could be. It's one of the ways to tell that the trend is over. I think the trend is going to be much larger on this move. So on the 15-minute, it really doesn't make me get scared that the trend is over. So as it comes up, maybe to the top of this 200 SMA, I'll probably go short there and short that resistance of the 200 SMA, and then kind of catch it as it comes down. If it doesn't completely drop down, at least if it makes a higher low, I can probably break even with my position.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably sell out at the SMA price, or close my long in profit, whatever it ends up being. Right now I'm at 8% on margin.
So you said you think we're going to go back down. What do you think? Like low 10s or high 10s or?
My opinion is I think we're going up in the immediate future, like in the next 15 minutes. But
Oh yeah, short term.
yeah, and I trade short term, so that's how I am. But like I think we will. If Bonavest probably should answer that question.
Oh yeah, he just brought up 15 seconds ago. He brought up the graph that has the support lines.
Gotcha.
So it looks like he had a support line at 10,276.
Yeah, I was thinking 10.4 as a guesstimate, but yes, that could very well be.
And is that purple line the 200 MA? Or what is that?
Yes.
So it looks like that 200 MA may intersect with your support line around the time that we would hit it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly right. You want to kind of look forward to the price action, because even though right now you say, oh, look, that 200 SMA is sitting at like 10,000 even, great, that's going to be my target. Well, that would be if the candle actually dropped that far now. And so if you fast forward maybe say 8 hours from now, that line is obviously going to keep moving up to average out with the price action. So yeah, by the time that line fast forwards a few hours, it might be right at this support line of 10.2. So yeah, I think this area, this zone, and what I like to do with these price levels, like try to target like a $500 range. So I'll pick a point like 10.2 and I'll draw a little box.
And just scale in within that box.
Yeah, I'll look to see that it hits the box, and then it just kind of gives me a warning. You can check this out; it's freaking awesome. Tradingview, I freaking love Tradingview. So 10, I was saying, let's say it's 275, 10,275. What I'll do is I'll add $250 to either side of that, so that'll be 525.
My 200 MA is showing around 11,385 at this rate, but we'll see. That seems high.
So that'll be my, God dang it, that didn't work out right. I hit a button. But anyway, so I have my little rectangle. Let's say I set my little rectangle there. It's where I want to buy in at. Check this out on TradingView. Pro tip. And in the comments of the YouTube, if you guys are listening, if you want to put a comment and say, hey, at this time in the video, there's a cool tip. This little box here, if you click it and then right click on it. Where's it at? Come on, don't make me a fool.
It would be there if it weren't for the fact that everybody's watching.
Yeah, if everyone's watching, I didn't lead so big into this. Ugh. You're kidding me. I know it's here somewhere. Maybe they moved it since I last tried to do this, but you can set an alert on a shape such as that rectangle to say that if the price enters into anywhere on the edges of that rectangle, it'll send an alert to you.
So it's a range alert based on a certain time frame then.
Yeah, it used to be where you right click on the shape, like let's say the MA. I bet you it works on the MA because it's an indicator. Yeah. So like let's just say, sorry. But this SMA line, if I said, hey, I want to know when this thing touches it, you can right click on the SMA and just say add alert, and it'll actually make an alert to anytime the price touches the SMA there. I know there's a way to do it with this shape. I'll figure it out later. Sorry, guys.
Such a letdown.
Wah, wah. Back to price action. But yeah, I'm thinking that area would be the low area. So that was that 10,000 range down here by the 200 SMA and the cloud on the 4 hour. That's 10,000 right here. The other area would be easier to obtain, I think, is right here at 10,569. 10,569 is where the Texas two-step is on the 4 hour. Kind of goes in line with me saying, hey, here's my signal on the 4 hour. And I tend to expect it'll be 1 or 2 candles after that. It'll continue. And I think I started to explain it and didn't finish. But if we click here and we look at that ATR that I mentioned earlier, if we put our cursor here on that down candle that told me sell, the ATR for that candle is, on the 4 hour, $385. So for the last 14 candles, the range of each candle is worth about $385. If this candle tells me to sell, it would be easy to say that I'm going to get one more candle, and that one more candle should be worth $385. Let's measure that real quick. Oh, looky there. God dang it, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna order that foot pedal. That $20 USB foot pedal, I'm buying it. Look at that. I'm a little off. That I think it was like $358 or something like that. But that candle there at the tip of it, the tip of that wick was $358. So if I was shooting for my profit of $385, maybe I'm more conservative and I say, $325. I'd be happy with $325. Hell, I'd be happy with $300. And you take profit at $300, you'd be out of profit right now. You'd be good. You'd be at like 3% for the day. Boom. With the way that I set my signals up, I tend to know that I can go in Bitcoin. I know I can go 2 times the ATR. Actually, I think 2.5, but I get kind of conservative. I say I want to make sure I close that profit. This kind of goes into line with someone was asking, how do you trade when you're not staring at the charts all day? I was like, okay, so you have to set these easily obtained goals so that you can just set your take profit and walk away from it, and either gets it or it doesn't, right? So 2 times, I already have it here. The little green number in the top left says 770. That's 2 times the ATR. So $770, where does that put us? $640 puts us right at the the super trend, puts us right at the super trend. Another $100 down would be where we were saying 770 or so. And it could do that because we've seen it before where it'll do like this guy right here on the right hand side, where here's the the super trend, and we pass through it, and we kind of wick down, and maybe it kind of keeps going back up, right? So that would make sense that if I targeted $700 even instead of 770, just target $700 and set my order at $700 and just wait to see if it hits it there. You can do the same thing with the 15-minute here. Let's say you didn't sell short till after this first big drop candle. You had no idea it was going to drop. Alerts went off when it crossed the super trend here. Maybe you heard whale pool yammering about price action, and you caught it at about that point. So hell, let's go with the next one. Let's say you didn't even catch it till we were going through the cloud. You're like, holy crap, this really is going somewhere. If you look at the ATR for the 15-minute, it's $97. And if we go 2 times that, it's $195. So let's say you totally missed these first 2 candles and you finally decided to go short after it already went through the cloud, and you targeted $200. Let's see what would happen. Hell, $200 is right there at the 200 SMA. Done. 2% in your pocket. 2% a day, every day, you'll be a rich man.
Bonus. Someone asked you about market buying for in Teamspeak. I answered, but I'd rather you clarify if I'm wrong. I mean, I personally use limit orders pretty much every time I can, but I will market buy if FOMO happens.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to use market orders. Sometimes you have to when price is moving. There's no way you're gonna say, oh, I want to sell now. It's like, yeah, but the prices are already falling, you know. So yeah, it's hard to get it then. But so I'm not afraid to use market orders, but definitely when stuff is still, I definitely use the limit orders because you're gonna save on those extra few percentage points.
Yeah, that's basically what I said.
I think during this trading here, I was getting out of these positions. Yeah, I was just doing market just to get out. It was just easier to click on that than try to take a moment to look at the price numbers and try to put my price in between the spread and all that kind of stuff. So George C., you asked a question about with the ADX, and then I went into an explanation of how to set up alerts, and your real question was about the ADX going above the 20 line. Obviously, if you look back to that portion of the video or whatever, you'll see you just got to select the trendy ADX indicator and then select the DX line and just say greater than 20 when you type in your value. But I will caution you that, to be honest with you, that's how everyone has always said, and makers of the indicator say this is how you use the ADX indicator. Personally, I've never used that. I've never found anything to correlate when the thing is above 20, this happens or whatever. What I've explained to you about the crisscrossing of the DI and all that kind of stuff, and the changing of these colors that I've put into my indicator, I haven't found another ADX indicator that does those colorings like that. And that is what I use to base my trades on, is that right now on the 15-minute that we're looking at, the trend is really hot. It's actually in the code I call it the heat. The heat right now is -3. It's super hot going short, right? I look for it to change. I look for it to get a darker color red, or flip to green, and then I say, oh, something's happening, and I trade off of that. So this has been a really long stream. People don't like to watch long videos, but hey, there's some good nuggets of information. We're going to watch this price action back in the whale pool Teamspeak. We are in the trading dojo, so feel free to go to whalepool.io. If you're not already on Teamspeak, download Teamspeak and get in there with the rest of us. I'm Bonavest. Samich, you've kind of been my co-pilot this stream. Had a few questions from some of the guys here in the chat. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining down in the Doob School chat room. And we'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy. Keep watching candles.
See you guys. Enjoy.